Welcome back, Hive Mind. This is Shalazar with Hive Mind Gaming, coming at you with another live on Kickstarter video. Today, we're going to take a look at Sentinels of the Multiverse, the Definitive Edition. I will start this off by saying this is probably my favorite board game, however you want to say it. It's probably my favorite of all time. I have not found one that has engaged me or has been more fun around the table than this one. I'm sure there are some out there, and I'm sure several of you will put in the comments some that you feel are better. But for me, this has been my favorite. I have been all in from the start of this product. But this product doesn't seem, this new Kickstarter, to me, doesn't seem like there's a lot more to it that needs to spend the extra money. But let's get into it. All right, so when we look at this card game, Sentinels of the Multiverse, if you've never played Sentinels of the Multiverse before, by all means, this is a great game. Absolutely great game. You have all the players playing superheroes. It is a co-op game, and they're all stopping or trying to stop the dastardly villain, the evil geniuses, the powerful deities or entities that are trying to do something very bad to the world, and you're the heroes that are trying to stop them. So there's typically only one villain, and then you've got a group of heroes that can be anywhere from 1 to 5 heroes. You each have a card deck that has your heroes' abilities, and you just draw cards and you play cards from that deck, and you manipulate the table based on what your hero is good at. And then the villains typically have some kind of win scenario, or it's just, hey, let's just beat up some superheroes. So it's really cool, but that's not all. One thing that's really cool about this game, that I really love about this game, is that you're not only dealing with the villain and all his minions, but you also have to worry about the location that you're fighting the villain in. Ergo, the environment deck. So the environment deck is basically the location that the fight is happening in. So there are lots of times things that will go wrong for you and the villain in some cases, depending on what the environment is. So really cool concept. I think they did a really good job on this game. The video we're doing today is seeing what the differences between the original Sentinels of the Multiverse and the new Kickstarter, Sentinels of the Multiverse Definitive Edition. So we're going to take a look at what the differences are in the two, at least the ones that are obvious and that have been discovered so far. I'm sure there are going to be other differences that just haven't been listed or haven't been talked about. So keep that in mind when you finish this video, that there is probably still stuff that is secret, using air quotes, to make it be a surprise when you actually get the game. But for those of you who own the original or have played the original, here are some of the differences that you will find in this game, in this Kickstarter. One of the great things about this game that has been upgraded is the art. The art is so good. I really like the style of art that the artist has, and I just love it. I absolutely love it. I think the art style is very cool. With the art style comes the back of each hero card. It shows 3 panels about that hero, and typically it has to do something with that hero's story. So it tells a story, and the cards typically do too. So each card in that hero's deck will have art for that hero, and typically it has to do with whatever that card does, plus a portion of that hero's story. So keep in mind, it's similar to a comic book in that aspect, that each card is telling a story. It's like a panel in a comic book. They did a really good job to make it seem thematic for this card set. And one of the things they wanted to do with the art or layout of the card is they wanted it to be more crisp and simplified. It's the exact same game, it's just streamlined. It's explained better, and it shows on the cards better. It doesn't seem like just a jumbled up thing that makes it hard to read or understand where everything falls or when to do specific abilities. So that is a huge difference between this game, and when you see some of the cards, you'll understand why. So the next thing that's different about this game compared to the original is the size of the cards. There are now 3 different card sizes. You've got the normal size card, which is going to be the villain decks, the hero decks, and the environment cards. And then you've got the next size, which is the hero cards themselves. These are the cards that represent your heroes, their hit points, and their main power. So they made those cards just slightly bigger so that they stand out above and beyond the actual deck of cards. So they're easier to see, they're easier to read, and you've got a better representation of your superhero. And then, of course, the next size card is going to be the villain card. This is something that was an issue with me on so many cases. There's so much information on villain cards that sometimes they're just hard to read. So with this larger card, this is going to give plenty of room for the artwork, and then plenty of room for the rules that villain is governed by. So really cool concept. One of the other things that's new to this box is you get another box within a box, and this box is going to be the thing that contains all your new tokens, which there are lots of new tokens, and they're actually pretty cool. They did a really good job on the tokens this time. There are the copy of the tokens that are really cool. So they've got the little arrow tokens for anything that gives pluses, and minus tokens for anything that has minuses, and then of course effect tokens and damage tokens, which are really cool. Something else that's new to this box is one giant counter for the villain's health bar counter, and then 5 smaller counters for the heroes. So they do actually have will counters so that you can actually twirl them down to keep track of your life total. Here are what your counters look like to track yours and the villain's health points. And for everyone that dealt with the original edition, where you had to track down all these cool promo cards by going to cons or conventions, or buying them third party from someone who went to those cons or conventions, and tried to track all those down. With this edition, you don't have to worry about that. They're putting those in the box, which is really cool. I thought that was a cool thing. But one thing that they are doing that's brand new is they're putting another variant for all the heroes. Now, when I heard this, I was like, well, crap. I mean, obviously, I'm going to want the new variant for all the heroes, even if I wanted to play them with my old edition, right? The cool part, which I kind of really liked, was that the new editions were their first appearance. That is cool. I thought that was cool. Well, here's the other cool part about that. The art that they're using for it is the art, not the art for just a character like Raw. It's going to show Raw's picture, right? No, it's going to be the art of the first comic book that he first appeared in. Now, granted, none of us probably care because none of us have probably read any of their comics, nor was the comics actually a thing when Raw first appeared. But I thought it was just a cool concept for that card being their first appearance card with their first appearance ability, and it showing what their first appearance comic book would have looked like if there was actually a first appearance comic book for that character. Thought that was a really cool concept. I'm kind of fangirling over that. I have to admit, really. It's just kind of neat. I thought that was kind of cool. And one of the last things I want to bring up about the design is the environment cards. If you see how everything's set up here, it's kind of in line of how you would set them up in front of you. Well, that's no different when it comes to these environment cards. This is actually something I really like. This is actually a really good change in my opinion, which is they turn the environment deck sideways. So now when you flip over a card, it's going to be sideways instead of straight up and down. I mean, it's just a simple change. It's an easy change, and it doesn't affect gameplay at all. It's just a cool difference, so it makes it different. So, because if you've got a smaller game table and you're trying to deal with all these cards that are being dropped by your villain, and then of course you've got 5 guys sitting around the table, 5 guys and gals, and each one of them are playing cards out of their hands, and you're running out of room, and then your environment deck gets lost somewhere in the mix because they look like everything else. If it's turned sideways, it might help keep it from getting lost in a smaller table. I don't know. It may not make a difference at all, but for me, I like it. I think that's a cool change. It really is a cool change. I think that they did a good job with that. All right, so that's pretty much all the notes I have for the graphical changes or the cover changes, things that just make it more pretty. Other than the layout of the cards themselves, I mean, here's some examples of the layout of the cards themselves. So like, here's an example of a card. This is the Mobile Defense Platform by Baron Blade. So if you notice at the top, it's got the explosion that is its hit points. And then it's got the really pretty art with the name. And then it says in the little square right below the picture, it says device. It gives it a keyword. And then it tells what it does. Baron Blade is immune to damage. So, and then in big, bold red, it says in phase. So the cool thing about this is, which we're going to get into gameplay changes in just a moment, but the cool thing about the design of these cards, it goes right along with the way they change the gameplay values. And so that will show you on the card what phase things happen in. So you don't have to guess, which a lot of times was sometimes confusing. I mean, once you actually stopped and read it a couple times, it was easy to figure out. But now you don't have to stop and read it a couple times. It's black and white, or red or green or yellow, purple, blue, whatever the color may be, but big bold in that color, and it tells you exactly what phase it happens in, that thing happens in. So pretty cool. I think they did a really good job on that as well. So again, that has to do with the design of the game. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes, what everybody really is interested in, which is gameplay. What changes did they make to the gameplay? All right, well, first off, we're going to jump in here, right here. They did put out a conversion guide. So if you wanted to play the new system with the old system, there is a conversion guide to what those changes would mean and how you can make those changes. So it's actually kind of neat. I'm glad that they did this. so that if you don't have one of the expansions, or they haven't made a certain hero / villain from one of the expansions, you can still play them with the new rules and the new heroes. So I really appreciate the fact that they did that. So, which brings us to the actual gameplay stuff. So first off, they changed the phase. So originally there were only 3 phases for the hero, which was the play phase, where you played your card out of your hand, the power phase, where you used the power that was available to you on the table, and then the draw phase. So basically what they did is they added 2 more phases. Now these phases were always there, they just didn't really name them. So there's the start phase, which usually cards said, at the start of your phase, do this. Now it is its own phase. It's the start phase. And when you look at it on a card, it will be labeled in green, which is, that's why it's green here on this conversion guide. And then there's the play phase, which is what you normally would do in the old rules, which is play your card. Power phase, play your power. Draw phase, draw your card. Now, the end phase, again, at the end of your turn, is usually what the card would say. Now it's the end phase. So it has its own phase, and it will be in red. So really convenient the way it breaks everything down, and it will actually tell you on your card what phase everything happens in, which is really, really cool and really, really streamlined. I mean, you have no clue how cool that is if you've never played it before. I mean, if you've played it before, you know how cool that is. So pretty interesting. All right, so other things that were changed. So in the villain phase, you still have the original start of the turn, play the card, and then end of the turn. That's pretty much exactly what it was in the original. So that there wasn't any change. But one of the things they did comment on about the villains is they now have an event for each villain. Now, the event is something that increases or tells the story of that villain and evolves that villain to give it more fluff for the actual comic or make the game more challenging. And just like in the original game, there was the advanced version of the villain, so it made it harder so you can do it. So it's basically the hard mode, using air quotes. They have that with the events as well. There's also the advanced version of the event that makes that villain that much harder. So I think that's where the events are what they changed from the advanced mode to the events. The events are what makes that villain hard mode. So pretty neat. I'll be interested to see how that interacts and plays with the villains and how that makes them different from the original. As far as I can tell, there's been no changes to the environments other than the changing of the card itself, like turning it. Now there has been changes to all the decks. Like every deck has been changed, as in they made changes to cards inside them or removed cards and added new ones. So every single hero, every single villain, and every single environment deck has been altered in some way. So keep that in mind. It's not just the art, it's actually the gameplay of each thing. The villains, some of them have changed completely, as in their whole dynamic or the way that they play has completely changed. But the heroes, I think, are all still going to be the same type of mechanics for that hero. It's just that they have new cards that do different things or do it a different way, that kind of thing. But it's all still the same mechanic. Like, for instance, Legacy's always still going to be the support champ, where Tachyon's always going to be the speedster, so she's going to do lots of burst damage and then have to build up her reservoir of cards to do more burst damage. So I think they're all still going to have the same kind of mechanics, just different cards when they're actually using them. One of the other things that I noticed is that when in the old system, when you drew when you were forced to play a card and that card was a unique card and you already had a unique card in play, that card always it actually went into play. You played the card and the card in play went to the graveyard, or went to the trash. Well, now you actually put that card in your hand. So you don't actually lose the unique card. It goes to your hand and the other one stays in play. So that's one of the big changes. And last but not least, one of the biggest changes that they made was they made a list of keywords. Now, these keywords are important because I'll put it to you this way. It's hard. Keywords suck sometimes because now you've got to know what those keywords are, or you just use the back of the book where the master list is, so you have it handy so you can just read it real fast if you can't remember it right off the top of your head, especially the first few times that you play. But what makes it really cool is that you can just use a simple keyword on the card, and that explains so much by just having that one word, and then have so much more room for other text so that it can do other stuff as well. So keywords are really good for that. Now here's a copy of some of the keywords that a new keyword is collect. It allows you to search your deck for the indicated amount of the indicated cards and put them into your hand and then shuffle your deck. So remember, collect means that you go into your deck and collect that card to put into your hand. Where salvage does the exact same thing, but allows you to go into your trash and pull it back into your hand. Now, if you do summon allows you to go into your trash or your deck. And here's the cool part. You play the card that found. So it tells you how many cards, which cards, and then you go into your deck and your trash, not one or the other, but both, and then put them into play. And then you shuffle, of course, your deck afterward, which is really cool. And then you've got Discover. Now, Discover allows you to reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal the indicated card. Shuffle the other revealed cards back into your deck. Play card in the order revealed. So, really cool. So, Discover is just the top draw. Just like before, where you just play the top card off the top of your deck until you find the card that it's telling you to find. You play it, shuffle the rest of the cards back into your deck. Boom, done. So that's not really different, but the name of the keyword that tells you what you're doing. So then there's buried. Buried's interesting how it works. So if something says that you bury something, you take the target and you put it on the bottom of its associated deck. So if you're targeting the boss's card that's out, then you put his card at the bottom of his deck. If you're talking about one of the players, then you put it on the bottom of the deck. But here's the tricky part. If there's 0 cards in the deck, like let's say it's the environment card and the environment deck is ran out and you're about to reshuffle it during the environment turn, then you put it in the trash instead. So very important to note there that if there's no cards in the deck at all, instead of putting it at the bottom of the deck, there is no deck, so you put it in the trash instead. So kind of interesting. Then there's reaction. Now reaction is basically what it says. It's a reaction to something. It will give you what it's reacting to. So like, for instance, you're getting punched by the villain. Well, my reaction is to punch him back. Well, the thing is, you're punching him first. So he's coming at you to punch. You react and punch him first. If you kill him, before he can punch you, then you don't take damage. The other side of that is you can do it once per turn. So you can do it once per, let's say, your turn. So let's say you have a reaction that anytime someone attacks, anyone attacks, you get to draw a card or something to that effect. I don't know if anyone has that ability. That'd be a pretty cool ability. But anyway, or here's a better one. Let's say you're fighting a villain that anytime it gets attacked, it does 1 damage to all heroes. So now you punch the villain, it now punches you back. You do a reaction where you punch it again. And then your buddy, the next hero's turn, punches the villain, and he punches everyone back. Well, as a reaction, this is a brand new turn because it's your buddy's turn now. You get to punch him first. And then your next hero goes to punch the villain, and then he reacts by punching everybody, and you react to that by punching him because it's a brand new turn. So keep that in mind. It's per turn, so you can do it every time something triggers that reaction. And then last but not least, you got ally, a target of your type, which would be hero, villain, environment, other than yourself. So an ally would be anyone that's on your team, or on that team if it's the villain talking about an ally or the environment talking about an ally, that kind of thing. So that's the keyword of ally. There's another keyword called fixed, and what that means is it can't be changed. I mean, makes sense, right? Fixed, yeah. So what that's for, though, is for damage types. If the damage type is fixed, that means it can't be changed by any bonuses or negatives. So if someone says that, let's say Legacy gives everyone +1 damage, and I'm doing 2 fixed damage, I'm still only doing 2 damage. I don't get that +1 from Legacy. But if Baron Blade says, hey, I've got a -1 to all incoming damage, my 2 fixed damage says, I don't care, I'm still going to punch you for 2. So keep that in mind. Also, fixed means it can't be changed in any way. It also can't be changed by type either. So you can't change a fire fixed damage to an energy fixed damage. So keep that in. But if someone is actually immune to the damage type, then they're still immune. Fixed does not matter. So it's only if they have a negative to that damage type is when fixed says, I don't care, I'm just going to go ahead and do it anyway. But again, if they're immune to a certain damage type, like fire, and you're doing fire damage, fixed fire damage to them, they don't care, it's ignored. So, all right, so that's pretty much it for the changes that I seen. Like I said, if you've never had it before, it's $50 for the base pledge. That gets you the core game and a foil card pack, which is just going to be for all the heroes. So it's the exact same cards, just a foil pack for them. So the art will be foily. So yeah, that $50 is definitely worth the base pledge. If you already have it and you've already got everything you have for the game, you have all their stuff they've ever done before, do I think that $50 pledge level is worth it? Well, yeah, probably. The problem is it's currently coming with 12 heroes, 6 villains, 6 environments, and then 12 hero variant cards, which is going to be the first appearance variant card for all the heroes. And then you've got 12 event cards, which is going to be the normal event for each villain and then the advanced event for each villain. And then you've got the divider cards for each deck, so it's going to have the ability to separate or divide them out and be able to find decks quickly in the box, which has always been a great thing that they've done in all their games. And then, of course, the HP spinner, the tracking tokens, and then the dedicated token box. So that's what you get for $50, which is a great buy. I mean, it's a great game. If you've never played this game before, buy it. Absolutely buy it. I will hands down tell you you will not be disappointed. It is a fantastic game. I love it. I mean, it is my favorite card game. Period. End of story. But if you already have it, and you already have all the expansions to the original, I don't know if there's enough changes in it that would make me want to spend $50. Because now I'm going to have to get all the new expansions that come out and all the new stuff that comes out for it. So I'm basically replacing the whole thing. How much money is that going to cost me? I'm already probably a couple $100 into it. I've got 2 of the giant black boxes that carries all my stuff. And now what am I going to do with all those cards from the old stuff? I mean, don't get me wrong. The new game is beautiful. I think they did a fantastic job. I absolutely applaud them on how well they cleaned it up and refreshed the rules and did all the cool stuff for it. But I don't know if it's worth replacing a whole game for it. I just really don't. I really, really don't. So, I don't know, guys. I mean, it's really up to you. If you've never played this game before, buy it. Absolutely buy it. I can't say it enough. If you have played it or own it, my opinion is it's not worth it. It's not worth spending the next couple $100. Because let's face it, by the time they get all the expansions and everything out for it, it's gonna definitely be more than a couple $100 to replace all the different expansions. So I don't know if that's worth it or not. Well, no, I do. I do know they haven't changed enough for me to make me want to pay that much money to get a whole brand new game, because that literally means that I will never play the original stuff ever again. Because I mean, why would you if you have this prettier game in front of you? So that means that $200 that I spent, just a couple of years ago is never going to see the table again. I mean, it's disappointing. It really is disappointing. I mean, tell me what you guys think. Put down in the comments what you guys think. If you're planning on buying it, let me know. I mean, I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of people. And if you've got the extra $50 to replace your previous copy, I think that's fantastic. I mean, I wish I had that $50 to replace my previous copy, because it is a beautiful game. It really, really is a beautiful game. So I wish I had the extra money to actually replace it. But let me know in the comments if you're going to be one of those that are going to replace your copy. But that's pretty much all I've got for this video. If you like what you've seen and you want to see more, hit the like button and join the Hive by hitting the subscribe button. And we'll see you on a video soon. Bye-bye.